1900s. You wake up before the sun. Your tenement room smells like coal smoke and yesterday's cabbage. You share this apartment with your wife, 2 kids, and your brother-in-law who sleeps on a cot near the stove. The building has 1 toilet in the hall. By the standards of this neighborhood, you are not poor. You have a job at the mill. You earn about $600 a year or $12 a week. That covers $4 in rent, flour, potatoes, and a small piece of meat on Sundays. Nothing is left. You do not have a savings account. You do not see a doctor unless someone is dying. Your children work alongside you on weekends. Some men talk about organizing a union for shorter hours and better pay. Foreman hears it too. That talk can get you fired. 1910s. The war in Europe changes the labor market. The factories need more men than they have. For the first time in your working life, your labor has leverage. Wages for skilled workers jump. Some men you know are clearing $900 a year. You get a raise to $750. Your wife starts buying from a catalog instead of the push cart. You buy your daughter her first store-bought shoes. The 8-hour workday is not law yet, but the mills are moving toward 10 hours because they have no choice. Then the war ends and the men come home. Prices rise faster than your wages. The rent goes up. The raise disappears in real terms before you can enjoy it. You end the decade almost where you started, but now you know what a raise feels like and how fast it can vanish. 1920s. Something is different now. You can buy a car, not with cash, because nobody buys a car with cash. You buy it on an installment plan, which means you pay a fixed amount every month until it is paid off. The Ford Model T costs about $300. Your payments are $11 a month. You make them. You also buy a radio on installment and a vacuum cleaner. Stores have learned they can sell you things you cannot yet afford by splitting the cost across months, and the feeling of owning something brand new makes the math feel reasonable. Your wages are higher than your father ever saw. Some white-collar men, clerks, managers, and salesmen are clearing $2,000 a year and buying small homes. You are not there yet, but you can see it from where you stand. The stock market is booming. Men at the barbershop talk about shares like they talk about baseball. You do not own any shares. You do not know how that works. Then October 1929 arrives, and in a few weeks, everything that felt permanent turns out to be borrowed confidence. 1930s. Your brother-in-law lost his job in November of 29. By 31, a third of the men in your city are out of work. The bank where you kept $40, money you saved for 2 years, closes one Tuesday morning. There is a handwritten sign on the door. The money is gone. This is before the federal government guaranteed bank deposits. There is no backstop. You take whatever work exists. You shovel snow for 30 cents. You stand in line at the relief office, which your father would have called shameful, but your father never saw this. Roosevelt gets elected in 32, and the government begins creating jobs directly, building roads, post offices, and bridges. It is not your old wage, but it is a wage. What survives this decade is not money. It is the conviction shared by nearly everyone who lived through it that you need a safety net, bank rules, and a job with a floor. That belief will shape the next 30 years. 1940s. The factory is hiring again, except now it is making aircraft engines and artillery shells instead of refrigerators. The defense work pays more than anything you have ever earned. By 43, your household income has nearly doubled from what it was in 39. Your wife is working at the plant, too. This is new. The family that once ran on one paycheck is running on two, and the two together add up to something that would have seemed like prosperity from the vantage point of your tenement childhood. You save war bonds. A war bond is a loan you make to the government that pays you back with interest after the war. You hold them like savings. When the war ends and your brother comes home on the GI Bill, the federal government offers him a low-interest mortgage, job training, and college tuition. The GI Bill, the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, is the single largest expansion of middle-class access in American history. He buys a house in a new development outside the city for $7,000. His mortgage payment is less than his old rent. You start thinking seriously about doing the same. 1950s. You have a house. You are stunned that you have a house. You put $300 down and the bank financed the rest at 4% over 30 years. Your monthly payment is $42. Your take-home pay is around $350 a month. You have a yard, you plant tomatoes, you buy a television, and for the first time, it shows you a comfortable American life as a steady stream of father, house, meal, and enough. Your union negotiates a 3% raise and adds a pension to your benefits. A pension means the company pays you a monthly income after you retire for the rest of your life in exchange for your years of work. You do not have to save for retirement. The company does it. The top income tax rate in this decade is 91% on income above $400,000, which has nothing to do with your tax bill, but it means the government is collecting enormous revenue from the very top and pouring it into highways, schools, and the infrastructure that makes your suburb function. Your life is not perfect. Your black neighbor was turned away from 3 developments before yours. You know this, but you do not say that the system that built your security was not built for everyone equally, and that debt will come due. 1960s. Your son is 18 and goes to college on a student loan that costs him almost nothing because state universities charge $300 a in tuition. Your daughter gets a secretarial job downtown at a starting salary of $4,500. The median family income has crossed $6,000. You can afford a second car. Your household owns more than your parents could have imagined owning at the same age. 61% of American families sit in what researchers would later call the middle class, the highest share ever recorded. You feel the security of it. The mortgage is nearly paid. The pension is accumulating. You have a savings account paying 4% interest. The civil rights movement is forcing a reckoning with who was included in this prosperity and who was not. The Great Society programs expand the safety net with Medicare for the elderly, Medicaid for the poor, and Head Start for children. The country is spending. Then the spending meets inflation, then oil, and the decade that follows will be unlike anything your children expected. 1970s. You fill up your tank for the 3rd time this week, and the price has gone up again. The Arab oil embargo of 1973 means the countries that produce most of the world's oil have cut off supply to the United States, and the price of gasoline has quadrupled in a matter of months. Your heating bill doubles. Everything that gets shipped in a truck costs more, which means everything at the grocery store costs more. This is called inflation, prices rising faster than your income. The economy is also stagnant, so you cannot simply get a better job to keep up. Economists call this stagflation, the miserable combination of high inflation and a stalled economy. Your union negotiates wage increases, but they barely keep pace with prices. Your savings account earns 4% while inflation runs at 9%. Every year you save money, the purchasing power of that money shrinks. Your pension is still there, but your brother, who switched jobs 3 times, has no pension because pensions only pay out if you stay at one company. Washington responds with brutal interest rate increases. The prime rate, the rate banks charge their best customers, hits 21% in 1980. Mortgages become nearly impossible for anyone trying to buy a home. The comfortable floor you built is cracking. 1980s. The inflation is gone. Paul Volcker, the Federal Reserve Chairman, killed it by raising interest rates so high that the economy went into a recession and broke the psychology of rising prices. It worked. Mortgages came back down. The stock market began one of the longest bull runs in history, meaning stock prices rose for years on end, but something fundamental had shifted in how work was organized. The factories that paid union wages are closing. The work moves south where labor is cheaper, then overseas. Your pension is still safe because you stayed at one company. Your son-in-law, who works in a factory, gets laid off at 41. He takes a job in retail that pays half as much and has no pension. His new employer offers something called a 401k, a retirement account where you contribute part of your own paycheck before taxes, and sometimes the employer matches a portion. With a pension, the company takes the investment risk. With a 401k, you take the investment risk. If the market goes down the year you retire, that is your problem. The security that felt permanent turns out to depend on staying in a particular kind of economy. That economy is leaving. 1990s. The economy is humming. The internet is arriving in office buildings and then in homes, and the feeling is that something new and enormous is being built. Your household income is climbing again in real terms for the first time in 2 decades. Real terms means after you adjust for inflation, so the number actually buys more than it did before. You refinance your mortgage at 7%, which is low by recent memory. Your daughter buys her first home at 29. Credit cards are everywhere now, and the offers are relentless. 0% for 12 months, then 19% after. If you carry a balance past the promotional period, you pay nearly a fifth of it every year in interest alone. Most people carry a balance. The decade ends with the dot-com crash. Stock valuations built on internet companies that had never turned a profit collapse back to earth. Your 401k takes a hit, your daughter's does too, but houses are still rising, and the financial industry has discovered something important. It can bundle mortgages together and sell them as investments, and the ratings agencies say these bundles are safe. This will matter enormously in about 8 years. 2000s. You should not have bought the bigger house. You know that now. The mortgage broker told you the payments would reset in 5 years, meaning the interest rate was temporarily low and would adjust upward after the introductory period. You did not fully absorb what that meant. Nobody seemed worried because house prices had been rising every year for a decade, and the logic was that if the payments got too high, you could refinance using your new equity, meaning the portion of the home's value you actually own outright above what you owe. In 2006, your neighbor's house sold for 40% more than he paid for it 4 years earlier. In 2008, your neighbor's house sold in foreclosure for 60% of what he owed. The median American family's net worth, meaning everything you own minus everything you owe, fell from $153,000 in 2007 to $93,000 in 2009. $60,000 vanished. 20 years of accumulated financial progress disappeared in 2 years. The banks that built the system that produced this outcome received $700 billion in federal assistance. You received a letter from your mortgage servicer informing you that your rate was adjusting upward. 2010s, you are rebuilding. It takes longer than the news suggests. The unemployment rate falls back to normal, but your wages do not recover at the same pace. You work, you pay down debt, you rebuild the 401k slowly. The stock market recovers and then surpasses its old highs. If you had money in the market through the crash, you eventually came out ahead. If you were forced to sell because you lost your job or needed the cash, you locked in the losses permanently. economy. The recovery is uneven in a way you feel, but cannot fully articulate. People who owned assets, meaning stocks and real estate, recovered and then grew wealthy. People who primarily earned wages recovered more slowly. College graduates pulled ahead sharply. People without degrees found their real wages, adjusted for inflation, essentially flat through the decade. Your daughter's generation is delaying home ownership and children, not because they do not want those things, but because student loan debt and housing prices have moved in opposite directions from their starting wages. The middle class is not disappearing. It is harder to enter and easier to fall out of than it was when you bought your house. 2020s. The pandemic shuts the economy for months. You work from your kitchen table. The kitchen table is now your office. The government sends direct payments, $1,200, then $600, then $1,400 to most households. Unemployment benefits are extended and expanded. The federal government spends more money faster than at any point since World War II. The economy bounces back sooner than almost anyone predicted. Then inflation arrives. Not the slow grind of the 70s, but a sharp spike driven by supply chains breaking and stimulus money chasing fewer goods. Grocery bills that were $200 a week become $260. Your rent, if you rent, has gone up 30% in some cities. Your mortgage payment, if you own, is fixed, which is the one thing protecting you. But if your child is trying to buy a first home right now, the mortgage rate that was 3% in 2021 is now above 7%, and the average home price has doubled from its pre-pandemic level. The monthly payment on an average priced home in 2025 takes up 43% of the median household income. In 1985, it took 22%. The asset that was supposed to be the foundation of the middle class has become the gate that keeps the next generation outside it. You stand in your kitchen now, the same kitchen you bought with a mortgage that seemed impossible at the time. You think about the man who woke up in that tenement coal smoke room in 1900. His floor was bare, his ceiling was low. He wanted the thing you have. He got partway there. His children got closer. His grandchildren arrived. Somewhere between the GI Bill and the factory closing and the adjustable rate reset and the pandemic kitchen table, the shape of what it meant to be middle class kept shifting. The wage that was once enough for a home, one car, and a pension became 2 wages for a smaller home, no pension, and a 401k that moves with the stock market. The security was real. The costs were real. The story is not over. But the version of the middle class that felt permanent, the one where one income covered a mortgage, a vacation, and a retirement, lasted about 30 years. It was not the default, it was the exception. Understanding that is the beginning of building something that lasts.